Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-delving into a topic that has captivated the world for over a decade. The tragic and untimely death of the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. On June 25, 2009, the world stood still as news broke that the global superstar had passed away. But what really happened in those final hours? Today, we're going to unravel the complex story, separate fact from fiction, and explore the untold truths behind his passing. First, let's set the scene. In the spring of 2009, Michael was deep in preparation for his This Is It concert series in London. It was billed as his grand comeback, a series of 50 shows that were meant to be his final curtain call. The pressure was immense, not just financially, but creatively. Michael was known for his perfectionism, and he was pushing himself to the absolute limit to deliver a show that would exceed all expectations. Those who worked with him during this time described him as focused and brilliant, but also as someone under an incredible amount of stress. He was a 50-year-old man attempting to perform with the same intensity and physical prowess he had in his 20s. This grueling rehearsal schedule, combined with a chronic struggle with insomnia, created a perfect storm. Michael's battle with sleeplessness wasn't a new problem. It had plagued him for years, often stemming from the adrenaline of performing or the constant stress of living in the public eye. To cope, he began to rely on various medications. This is where Dr. Conrad Murray enters the story. Murray was hired as Michael's personal physician in May 2009, just weeks before his death, specifically to care for him during the demanding This Is It tour. His salary was a reported $150,000 a month. Murray's primary task, in Michael's view, was to help him sleep. And to do that, Murray began administering a powerful anesthetic called propofol. Now it's crucial to understand what propofol is. This is not a sleeping pill. It's a hospital-grade general anesthetic, often referred to by the brand name Deprivin, used to induce and maintain anesthesia during surgery. It's administered intravenously and requires constant monitoring of a patient's breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure by trained professionals in a clinical setting. Using it in a private home to treat insomnia is unheard of and incredibly dangerous. Michael, however, reportedly referred to it as his milk, and it was the only thing he believed could help him get the rest he desperately needed. For weeks leading up to his death, Dr. Murray was administering propofol to Michael almost nightly. Let's walk through the timeline of that fateful day, June 25, 2009. After a long rehearsal that ended after midnight, Michael returned to his rented mansion in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles. He was still unable to sleep. According to Dr. Murray's statement to the police, he spent the next several hours trying to help Michael fall asleep using a cocktail of other sedatives, including lorazepam and midazolam. But nothing worked. Finally, at around 10:40 a.m., at Michael's persistent request, Murray administered a 25-milligram dose of propofol. This is where the story takes a critical and devastating turn. After administering the anesthetic, Dr. Murray claimed he stayed with Michael for a short while and then left the room for what he said was just 2 minutes to use the restroom. However, phone records presented during his trial showed he was on the phone for extended periods. When he returned, he found Michael was no longer breathing. He had suffered a cardiac arrest. Panic ensued. Murray began performing CPR, but he did so on the soft surface of the bed, which is ineffective. He also delayed calling 911 instead calling Michael's personal assistant and security. It wasn't until 12:21 p.m., well over an hour after Michael likely stopped breathing, that a security guard finally made the call for an ambulance. When paramedics arrived, they found Michael unresponsive. They worked on him for over 40 minutes at the house before transporting him to the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. But it was too late. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead. The official cause of death, determined by the Los Angeles County Coroner, was acute propofol intoxication with the contributing effect of other sedatives. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. This ruling meant that Michael's death was caused by the actions of another person, but not necessarily with malicious intent. The investigation immediately focused on Dr. Conrad Murray. Authorities discovered a stash of medications and medical equipment in Michael's room, including 4 stands and numerous vials of propofol. Murray's actions, or lack thereof, came under intense scrutiny. His decision to administer propofol in a home setting without the proper monitoring equipment, his delay in calling for emergency services, and his initial lack of transparency with investigators all painted a grim picture. In 2011, Conrad Murray stood trial for involuntary manslaughter. The prosecution's case was straightforward. Murray acted with gross negligence, abandoning his patient and deviating from the accepted standard of medical care, which directly led to Michael's death. They brought in medical experts who testified that using propofol for insomnia was an extreme and unjustifiable risk. The defense argued that Michael, desperate for sleep, was a desperate patient who may have self-administered the fatal dose of propofol while the doctor was out of the room. They portrayed Murray as a caring physician caught in an impossible situation with a demanding celebrity patient. The jury didn't buy it. After a 6-week trial that was watched by millions around the world, they found Dr. Conrad Murray guilty of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison, the maximum penalty for the crime. He ended up serving just under 2 years before being released early due to good behavior and prison overcrowding. So, was justice served? That's a question that still divides many. For Michael's family and his legions of fans, the sentence felt far too lenient for the loss of a global icon. For others, it highlighted a bigger issue, the complex and often dangerous relationship between celebrities and the doctors who cater to them, sometimes blurring the lines between patient care and enabling dependency. The trial revealed a tragic story not of a malicious act, but of a catastrophic failure in medical ethics and judgment. The untold truth, therefore, isn't a shadowy conspiracy. It's a sad and preventable tragedy. The mystery wasn't about who did it, but how it was allowed to happen. It was a story of a man haunted by insomnia, a doctor who broke every rule in the book to appease his famous client, and a powerful drug that should never have been in a bedroom. Michael Jackson didn't just die. He was the victim of a reckless medical practice born out of desperation and a severe lack of professional boundaries. His death serves as a sobering cautionary tale about the pressures of fame and the immense responsibility that comes with providing medical care. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into a very somber chapter of music history. It's a story with no winners, only loss. What are your thoughts on the events surrounding Michael's passing? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more content. Until next time, take care.